Season 5, Episode 11, Matching Income Streams to Obligations. In the previous episode, we introduced the 6 fundamental streams of investment income: interest, dividends, rent, royalties, capital gains, and options premiums. These 6 channels represent the primary ways capital produces returns. But understanding where income comes from is only part of the story. The more important question is how that income fits into the structure of a real life. Because the purpose of investment income is not simply to accumulate money, it is to support obligations. The expenses that appear month after month: housing, food, healthcare, insurance, transportation, education, family responsibilities. These obligations form the financial foundation of everyday life. And over time, many investors begin building portfolios with the hope that investment income will eventually help support those obligations. But not all income streams behave the same way. Some arrive regularly and predictably, others appear irregularly. Some grow gradually over time, others remain relatively fixed. Some depend heavily on market conditions, others depend more on the stability of underlying economic activity. This is why matching income streams to obligations becomes such an important part of financial design. Consider obligations that are consistent and unavoidable. Basic living expenses rarely disappear. Rent or mortgage payments continue. Groceries are needed every week. Utilities must be paid. For obligations like these, many investors prefer income streams that behave with a similar level of consistency. Interest payments, dividends from stable businesses, rental income from established properties. These streams often arrive on a regular schedule. Their predictability can make them useful in supporting recurring expenses. Other obligations are less immediate. Some expenses occur years or even decades into the future. Education costs, major home renovations, travel plans later in life. For these kinds of goals, assets that primarily produce growth may play a larger role. Capital gains from expanding businesses or appreciating assets can accumulate over time. When the asset is eventually sold, the realized gain helps fund the future expense. In this case, the income stream does not need to appear immediately. Time allows the capital to grow first. There are also situations where income streams may fluctuate: royalties tied to resource production, options premiums linked to market activity, business income connected to economic cycles. These streams can still be valuable, but they may be better suited for discretionary spending rather than essential obligations. Understanding these differences helps clarify something that often confuses investors. Two portfolios with the same total value may behave very differently when it comes to supporting real-life expenses. One portfolio may rely heavily on appreciation and require selling assets to generate spending money. Another may produce regular income streams that cover a portion of expenses without requiring assets to be sold. Neither approach is inherently right or wrong, but they represent different ways of connecting investments to life. Matching income streams to obligations simply means paying attention to the behavior of those streams, how predictable they are, how sensitive they are to economic conditions, how quickly they may grow, and how they align with the timing of the expenses they are meant to support. When those elements are aligned, the financial system often feels calmer. Income arrives when it is needed. Longer-term assets continue to grow quietly in the background, and the relationship between capital and daily life becomes easier to manage. This perspective also reinforces an important idea. Assets themselves are not the ultimate goal. They are tools that connect capital to the economic systems that produce income. Understanding how those tools behave allows us to design portfolios more intentionally. But even with careful design, it is easy to fall into a common trap: believing that a particular asset class or strategy holds the solution to financial security. That one investment can solve the entire problem. In reality, assets rarely provide solutions on their own. They simply serve the system in which they are placed. And that idea brings us to the final episode of this season, an exploration of the role assets play within a well-designed financial life. Not as answers, but as servants to the larger system.